On this episode of Star Trek Universe Podcast, we are talking about Star Trek Discovery 213, Such Sweet Sorrow. That's part 1 of the finale, y'all. Right after this.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe Podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
How you doing today, Dave?
Oh man, I'm all right. Getting looking forward to talking about this episode for a second time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was invited over to the Cosmic Potatoes Discovery After Show.
Oh, neat.
This week. Yeah. So I'll put up a link to that on our webpage, StarTrekUcast.com. But, yeah, and it was, we did like a live Skype call, so you guys can actually see me, facially acknowledging what people are saying about the show and trying to figure out what I'm going to be saying next. It's a little weird. It's going to actually be on YouTube, so
that's cool.
There's an audio version of it, but it's like me and like 4 other people.
What's the show called?
Discovery After Show.
Discovery After Show. Cool.
Yep. So it was pretty fun.
I will listen to that. I didn't know you were doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of a last minute thing.
Neat. You want to get into that summary?
Sure, man. The CBS All Access summary. When the USS Discovery's crucial mission does not go according to plan, Burnham realizes what must ultimately be done. The crew prepares for the battle of a lifetime as Leland's control ship gets closer. Or ships get closer.
Yeah. So this episode, obviously they're leading us to believe this is like the setup for next season. Like, we're gonna do a future storyline. Like, that's really interesting to me, and I'm wondering if they're gonna, like, I think they're gonna do it, right? You think? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think Discovery will probably wind up in the future, and I think the crew will not. I would really think it would be cool if they did. Part of me does think that they might do like a part of the season, like maybe the first half of the season or the first quarter of the season in the future, and then leave the Discovery. Yeah,
that's definitely possible. I'd have to go back and watch the Craft episode. Mm-hmm. But I thought that the AI was able to develop because it was there so long. And I don't think the AI ever says how long, but it says, I was here a long time or something like that. And so I don't know what that means for them jumping to the future and leaving the Discovery. I guess Craft could be another 200 or 300 years after wherever they drop it off.
Right. I will admit, I don't know the answer to that. It is like being on this other podcast this week, I heard, people talking about like,
some theories.
Bringing up the fact that they said that it's been sitting there for 1,000 years. I don't remember that specifically.
No, I think the only thing that really said 1,000 years was the ad. Mm-hmm. I think the ad just said 1,000 years after Discovery.
But even if it did say 1,000 years, that's exactly the kind of loose writing I would expect at this point. The last several episodes have been a little sloppy for me. Yeah,
same here. I think weirdly, since the new people came on, well, I guess not weirdly, it's just, I was expecting them to kind of, fix some of the thing. Like, I thought taking over with new showrunners, they'd try to tighten it up. And it seems like it got sloppier as soon as they took over. And maybe it's because they're trying to change, horses midstream, as it were. They're trying to change storylines after they've just been building it. But a lot of the things that I've found sloppy are like just internal to the episode. Like, oh, you said a thing that didn't make any sense, and now we're going to base the plot around that. Like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. You did not support that logic. Things like the fact that they never brought up destroying Discovery before it was like a dire thing they had to do. I don't know, like, they couldn't delete it. It was the future. Like, they should have at least brought it up. Like, and then someone says, well, let's try this first, or something like that. Like, the Discovery's a valuable ship. There should have been a line about that. until the only time they think to do it is when the Section 31 ships are completely surrounding them and Control has them in their clutches. Now it's time to lose a ship. I mean, yes, it's the only spore drive ship, which I guess is a big deal, but...
Well, at the beginning of the episode, she said we have to destroy the Discovery, but, you know, I'm a little... And this... I was just aggravated with that, with everything about that, because Pike doesn't question her at all. He's just like, oh, you say we have to destroy it? Okay. Like, but she should only know because she saw the future.
Right. Yeah, that was weird. I thought the whole vision of the future aspect of this episode was useless.
So far, yeah.
So far. Yeah, I guess that's true. A lot of it was for the fight that's about to happen. And Jet is still having similar visions from when she touched it, so...
Yeah, she's got a contact tie going with that thing. I don't think she touched it. She just, like, opened it or whatever. It's like freaking Tear of the Prophet.
Yeah, should be. That's going to be cool, I think. I think that's going to affect her character in a weird way. They talked about how it can make you go mad or whatever, and, like, I think that's probably not going to be a one-episode thing. I think that's going to affect her character as they go on to the next season or whatever.
Maybe, or she could go mad in this next episode, and that will be Tig Notaro's out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She's got comedy specials to do, man. She ain't got time for this Star Trek shit.
They've done a pretty good job of course, I guess if they go jump to the future and there's only like 11 people on the ship, which I don't know, how many people does it take to run a starship?
I mean, it depends, you know. In Star Trek 3, Search for Spock, they only had like what?
7 or something.
Like 5?
Yeah.
Just like, and McCoy was kind of out of it, you know? So,
yeah, that's true. That's a valid point.
I mean, he was there and he wasn't out of it. That's not fair.
Right.
So, yeah, but it's still like a skeleton crew, man. It's like just the bridge crew.
Yeah. I always find that funny though. It's like, this ship has a complement of 400 people. Only 6 are necessary.
I don't think that was necessarily the issue. Like, I think that's probably why they got taken over by the Klingons so easily.
Right.
Maybe.
No. There's obviously, I mean, it's fine.
I need to go back and watch Star Trek 3. God.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, man. We will soon. Now that Discovery is coming to an end, I think we're going to do a lot of watching the old movies and stuff. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
Well, I am.
Yeah, sure. I don't want to get my hopes up or get excited until it happens.
Nah, man, we'll do it.
I don't believe you, Matt.
All right, I get that. I'm an untrustworthy bastard. Okay, so, I mean, I want to talk about this episode, and there's a lot of nice little moments, but really all I want to talk about is the obvious, like, sort of pilot that they're doing for the new show that will be Discovery next season.
I'm not sure that's what's going to happen, though.
Yeah, I'm not either, but it definitely seems like what they're doing, right? I mean, or like what they're wanting us to think. They put together a crew, oddly enough, all of the main crew that we know about. Oh, and some Asian guy.
What?
There's the one guy, the Asian guy. He's the only guy I don't know his name. Like on the entire, like, everyone was like, "We're staying," and I was like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah, this episode relied heavily on trying to make me feel things for people I don't know.
Well, see, this actually made me thankful for the episode where Arium dies. Because I at least felt something for a few of those female characters that were sitting around the table with Arium at the beginning. Owo and oh gosh, and the lady with the face augments, Detmer. Yeah. So all those guys, that kind of was like, oh yeah, they're all friends. It makes sense that they're friends of Tilly's and Burnham's. We've seen that happen. That's the kind of stuff that I like. Like, instead of building up a character only to do something with them that episode, like they did with Arium, they at least had that character development of these characters. So when they decided to stay, I was like, okay, I guess maybe they do care about her.
Yeah.
And the adventure of going to the future is pretty cool. I wish someone had said that. I wish someone would be like, yeah, we want to stay because we care about you, but also I'm an explorer and we're going to the future. Like we're going however many hundreds of years in the future. Like, what is this going to be like, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's yeah. That's fair.
One of the things that, I think is a problem with science fiction sometimes and, superhero stuff particularly is that, when a movie comes out and the superhero has some power and then they don't have fun with the idea that they just have that power, like they don't think that's cool. I think that's like, I don't know. I think that's important for a character to sort of acknowledge and be like, hey, I can punch real hard. How cool is this? You know, like whatever. I don't know. I think that's one of the things that makes movies fun and relatable. And to have all these characters go, we're going to jump into the future. We're leaving our lives behind. They all acted like it was purely duty. And I wish at least, you know, maybe Stamets, of course he's dealing with a lot of other emotional stuff with, him and his ex. Mm-hmm. So I see why it wouldn't be him, but I don't know. I wish someone had discussed like why it was neat for them personally to be a part of this adventure instead of just, you know, we're all duty bound to help Burnham.
Yeah. They could have used the time that they, wasted with Sarek and Amanda.
Yeah. Although I did enjoy one line from that. One of my quotes for the week was, when she tells him he's impossible and he was like, I will accept improbable. That's just a very Vulcan way of like, shooting down her, sort of platitude.
Yeah. But you know what? I hated so much that they showed up because it was just like, they're just going to show up, have a goodbye and dip. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to think to mention our Katras led us here to you because, you know, it's only intership communications. The control has, shut your access down to the fleet. Okay. Well, you knew something was wrong. Couldn't you have brought some freaking Vulcan ships from the Tal Shiar or, I don't know, some Starfleet ships? You're the ambassador to freaking Earth, dude. Come on.
Yeah, that does seem silly.
Like, well, instead of bringing help, I'll just say goodbye.
Yeah, and obviously it's the same as like last episode we talked about how Pike called the Enterprise and then only the Enterprise. It's like, yeah, it's weird. And then I guess maybe he planned to call the others, then Control shut him down. But it just seemed like he'd send out a broad communication to all of Starfleet. You know, like, hey, come help. We are in need.
Yeah. I don't know how that all played out. I don't understand. I know what they said in this episode, but I don't remember what they were, if they even said why that he couldn't call the rest of the fleet.
No, they didn't.
The last episode before Control jammed everything.
Yeah, they didn't. We were talking about it last episode. The fact that
I'm sure we were.
He just sends out a call directly to his XO of the Enterprise, and it's like, why didn't you call everyone? And the only thing I can headcanon for that is that like he knew that Control could be anywhere, and he knew that he'd know people on the Enterprise well enough. Maybe, I don't know, or something to that effect. That like he just reached out to someone he knew he could trust. Mm-hmm. I kind of wish we'd just gotten some like a call from Sarek or something instead of like it just seemed a little plot or like character servicing instead of like logical that they would go across the galaxy to meet them.
Yeah.
And that I just don't understand the rules of the universe here where like, where are they? How close are they to Vulcan? Like how much time did it take him? He got that vision and then he's just on the Discovery.
Yeah, that was weird. I almost expected it to be a hologram and then it wasn't. And I was, okay, well, that's weird. But, all right.
I mean, of course, this is the same universe that Poe can like just return to Zahia from wherever they are.
Which I continue to be annoyed by the fact that they had to name a character Poe on Star Trek.
Yeah, that's fair. I was looking over my notes and I was like, wait, Poe? What did we watch?
Exactly.
By the way, yeah. So to me, it's very clear, that obviously Poe is stowing away somewhere on the Discovery right now.
Is she? I thought she was just out right there.
No.
She told Tilly that the best thing for her to do would be to go with, I thought.
Not to the future. She said that told Tilly that she was going to go to into the battle with them. And then when everyone decided to stay, there's a line where they say, "We can't find Poe."
Oh,
and then they're like, "Oh, we'll have to deal with that political problem tomorrow. We've got too much on our plate." And so it's clear to me she's stowing away somewhere on the Enterprise.
Gotcha.
Right. Using her technological advancement. So she's going to be like, that's all the evidence. That's all more evidence to me that this is like a pilot for what they're doing next season. Like, they drop Poe, they have her hiding out. They have the only crew members that matter plus Spock. Not that he doesn't matter, but he's not going to be there next season. So I don't know how he's going to get off, but they have them all hanging out on the Discovery, and they're planning to go to the future. So I just think, and there's an AI, like, I think it's all just building toward, them jumping to the future and finding out, like, maybe we see the beginnings of the battle between the Vidraish and Craft people, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really down for all of that, honestly.
Yeah. Could be really cool.
Yeah. I do a new version of Voyager. A time version of Voyager.
Yeah. I'm also interested, like, they're jumping to the future. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like, I feel like so far, every season ends with them jumping, or every big story arc has ended with them doing some sort of jump and ending up not exactly where they meant to end up. And so this is another one. It's like, okay, we're going to jump to the future. I have a feeling maybe they won't do exactly what they mean to do. You know, I don't know, but it does sound pretty great to have a spore drive ship that can run around in the future and explore the Star Trek universe from a completely new angle, you know?
Ooh, what if they do jump 1,000 years in the future or whatever, but it's 1,000 years in the future of the Mirror Universe?
That could be cool.
I mean, the Vidraish thing doesn't really pan out because there's no Federation.
Right. Well, and then they wouldn't necessarily, maybe they swap with another Discovery. Maybe the Discovery Craft finds is the Discovery from, the Mirror Universe. You know, I don't know. That's all just kind of silly speculation, I think.
Yeah. I think Zora, or whatever that AI's name was, I think that's going to be the Discovery, or the
Sphere Data.
Discovery. The Sphere Data, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I've heard speculation that it was going to be like Control having evolved, and I don't think that's going to be the case.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think that, for sure, the Sphere Data protecting itself, and like, it's obviously somehow sentient in that it's protecting itself and wants to live. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think this Discovery becomes Zora, because of the Sphere Data. Like, it achieves sentience the way that Control is trying to do, but it turns out to be more of an altruistic sentience instead of, but weirdly, it's still trapped there by its rules. I also wonder, like, they told the Discovery it had to stay there, and so Zora has been sitting there for however many years. I don't know if that exactly says, waiting, right? I wonder if they're coming back. I wonder if that's part of the deal. Like, maybe we'll find out this season they have to leave the ship and go through time again, and maybe in their suits or whatever. And then they have to come back to the future Discovery, and we'll have Zora as part of the Discovery crew, sort of.
Yeah, I do think that there's a possibility that Michael might use that makeshift DIY Red Angel outfit that.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
They were able to put together the suit immediately. I mean,
yes.
I guess if I don't mind Iron Man being able to fabricate new suits, like, in the current time, like that, like he does, then I guess I don't mind the Discovery having that technology.
I don't know. It just seemed like it was, a bit much, but I guess if she has a template.
Yeah, they had the throwaway line about we have the plans from Section 31, which,
yeah.
How did, I don't know. Section 31 is so weird in this timeline.
I mean, Section 31 looks like it's pretty much done, doesn't it? I mean, they've killed off every member except, well, I mean, I guess they've killed off everyone except for Ash and Georgiou. Right.
Which I think Ash sounds like he is fully planning to stay in it or be part of it. It'd be really interesting to find out that basically the modern day Section 31, the one from DS9, was started by a Terran and a Klingon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the origins are very non-Federation.
Yeah. Really is.
It's weird. I have the episode running in the background, and I'm watching Sarek leave them, and I'm like, what is happening? Why did you show up? Just like, that really does bother me a lot. They're in the middle they're in the middle of like the fight for the future, the fight for their lives, like fight for the lives of all sentient life. And this episode is a ton of people sitting around talking about their emotions.
Yeah. And I don't understand how Sarek got there quicker than Leland's ships.
Right? That's a really, really good point. I mean, I guess you could say that when they jumped away, they jumped toward Vulcan. So he is closer to Vulcan than they were.
Maybe.
But that's the way they can get away with it. Like, and I think it's fine. But that's a lot of Star Trek does that kind of stuff where like they don't establish, how close things are for the specific purposes of being like, well, yeah, we want to be able to fudge this when we feel like it. And also, in the galaxy, all things are moving all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So two planets are really never the same distance apart from each other and stuff like that. Like those maps we have maps of the Star Trek universe and stuff don't really make sense because bodies are constantly spinning and swirling around galactic centers and stuff at different speeds and rotations and.
Yeah. I mean, you still have a general idea of where something is.
Oh yeah.
Like it's still like we have it on paper, they have it on computers, so their star charts are going to be like accommodating for that.
No, for sure. But like, just in general, the distance between one star system and another is not going to be a consistent, thing. Like it's gonna
but it's not going to be so drastically, it's not going to be that drastically different.
I don't agree. I mean, I'm not a astrophysicist, but even just in our solar system, like sometimes we're like super like lined up with Mars and we're close, and other times we are opposite sides of the sun or whatever. And that's happening on a galactic scale. Like all of this stuff is churning around. So like things are passing each other and getting closer and further away all the time.
But that doesn't mean that it's gonna not take a week to get to Vulcan suddenly. It's gonna take 20 minutes to get to, you know what I mean? Like the system is still gonna be about the same amount of time away.
I don't agree, but it's okay. We're not, I said, and you said, we're not astrophysicists, but I do think it kind of works that way, that things get closer and further away. But it's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter at all. I think that's why one of the reasons they're able to get away with all that stuff in this show. In all science fiction, really. Just because they don't ever really tell you exactly how far things are apart or a lot of times even where they are. But some of my favorite Star Trek stories and episodes and books are when we do know. Like, we kind of have the stakes of, it's like anything else. I like it when a show gives me rules and sticks to them. And so I kind of like when they're like, hey, we're this far away from this thing. It's going to take us this long. How do we what can we do to circumvent that? How can we speed up? How can we slow down? They're going to catch us because they're going faster. Like all those sorts of rules that they do. I enjoy that a lot. Actually, I'm looking at this, scene right now of when they all came to her and said, they were staying, and maybe there's more people in there that I didn't realize at the time. There's like I didn't even see that orange alien the first time. So yeah, there's a few people we don't know who they are, I guess. Yeah. I thought it was just that one guy. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember all the people that were there.
There's a bunch of them. It just seems like it's moment after moment. This whole episode is just people pulling each other away to have emotional conversations. And I'm like, I get it. your friend is leaving, but like also all sentient life. Like let's get to work, folks.
Yeah, and it's a lot of farewells that don't do anything for me emotionally because I don't buy the goodbye.
See, I do so far. Like I think they're doing it. I think they're leaving.
The only one I actually felt was Pike. When they all like stood and like gave him that respect as he left the bridge. That really meant something for me. That was a big deal.
Yeah, I did like that. The Ash Tyler one, got me because I have been invested in their relationship, and I do buy it. I think they're done. I think they may never see each other again.
I think that's fine, but I hated it. I hated her walking away and then turning and dramatically running back up to. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah, no, I agree with that part. I thought that was a really weird choice from a whatever directing or writing perspective. Like just why they. I guess it was trying to show that she's trying to be composed and logical, and then she lets her emotions in. But yeah, it was staged strangely and didn't feel natural at all. I liked a lot of the camera movements in this episode, and I'd never realized it until this episode. But this episode they did a lot more of that, like moving through the ship, where we saw pipes and like internal parts of the Jeffries tubes and then moving through the ship that way, which is something Firefly used to do in like the first episode. And I don't know if they ever did it again because it was probably expensive. But I didn't realize it until now. But they've been doing that on this show for a while, but it never dawned on me how similar that was to Firefly, like what they used to do.
I did notice that this is it was directed by Olatunde Osunsanmi, and I'm pretty sure he did Calypso.
Cool.
He directed Calypso, the future short trick.
Interesting. And now he's putting together the crew to go find out what's going on with the Vidreish these days.
And by the way, I think it's interesting that you thought or you feel like this is like a pilot for season 3 of Discovery, because I felt like it was a pilot for the Captain Pike series.
Oh, funny. Well, I think this whole season has been a pilot for the Captain Pike series.
A little bit, but, they built that Enterprise, they specifically built that Enterprise bridge from scratch. It's not a redress.
Yeah, for sure.
It's its own stage.
What did you think of the Enterprise? You know me, I don't care as much, but I know you have a love for that Enterprise bridge. How'd they do recreating it? It's hard for me, okay, because I love the window view of the Enterprise from Discovery, like the secondary hull of the Enterprise. That was nice. And like I've said before, I headcanon this as not actually the same canon. It's, I feel like it's a slightly alternate universe for whatever reason. So if it was specifically supposed to be canon, it should have looked like the original series. But as I'm looking at it, they did a really good job. Yeah, I thought it was really nice.
I love, like, I don't know what it actually is. It's like this like grid pattern, this like red orange. I call it chicken wire. It's what it's not. But that's what I always called it when I was a kid, looking at the original series, because they had these like panels that were just like red circles, like interconnected. They had those in the corridors. The freaking shadows from the overhead grating and the turbo lift was like spot on. I loved the handles of the turbo lift. The viewing devices on the helm consoles, like the little tri-monitor on the conference table in the briefing room, just the freaking railing, the orange-red railing around the ship, around the bridge. And the show continues to kill all the noises. The noises are amazing and just make me happy in a way that nothing else does. So I was overall pretty pleased with what they did, and would like to see more of it. It wasn't quite as colorful as the original series, but neither was Pike's version of the Enterprise. Oh yeah, because they were not doing color yet. I think that was shot in 64. So
Really?
The whole, yeah,
64.
I believe so. The whole reason, or 65, I thought it was 64 though. I might be wrong, but
I didn't realize there was that much distance between the first pilot and the later pilot.
Well, 60, I could look that up just to make sure, but sure. They have, even where No Man Has Gone Before, the second pilot is not nearly as colorful as the original series became, and it's because color television became a thing. And they were really trying to pimp that out and show that, look at Star Trek in color. Blah.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that you liked the Enterprise, because I don't care about that much stuff as much as you do, and to hear you talk about it so fondly is nice. I like it. It could have easily gone the other way, where you're like, this is why did they recreate the Enterprise? Also, in this episode, is Georgiou staying?
I don't know.
It's weird because she's definitely not in that group that says they're staying.
Right.
But then later, Pike leaves her. He beams away and leaves her. Maybe he's leaving her on the Enterprise. Maybe I got confused. When he says the thing, I'm rewatching it, and it's at the end, it's very end, after he says his goodbyes, he goes down to the transporter room, and she tells him that she's a Terran from your mirror universe, and he says, "What mirror universe?" Wink. Which was really cute, but it kind of infuriated me.
Why?
I don't know. So that's been a question all season. Does he know or does he not? And I guess he does, is what they're saying.
Well, he told Michael. She said she would explain it, and he said, "Don't keep me waiting," and they never went back to it. I assume Michael just told him and filled him in. Why wouldn't she?
Okay. Yeah. I guess so.
That was earlier this season.
It was just weird. I don't know. Yeah,
they haven't had time to follow that up, and I'm glad they didn't, because I don't want to hear Michael explain to him about the mirror universe. But I really liked, that's one of the things I really liked, is that that's how they let us know that he's in on it, because he's just yep, I know about it.
Yeah. I guess so. It was just, I kind of wanted I guess one of my biggest problems with the whole Georgiou being in the show is she's not a good guy. She's a murderous, she's a genocide lady, as she reveals this episode with one of my favorite quotes of the episode, which was, "I thought there were no bad ideas." They talk about her.
Yes, that's bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah, they're all yep, no, bad idea. That one's bad. She's talking about killing an entire star system so they can win this fight. Which honestly is not a bad idea. If that's the trade-off you have to make to save all sentient life, unfortunately, you kind of need someone who can make that call, which is, is the whole point of Section 31 and why she's kind of an interesting character for that. Because she will have those kinds of ideas. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I do have a problem with her being such a genocidal maniac, but
there are other shows where that character is funny. What's that?
Spike on Buffy? Right,
Spike. Here's the thing. If you're gonna make a character horrible, genocidal, murderer, they have to be ineffectual. That's why you can laugh at that, is because they're not actually dangerous. But she is very effective at what she does. And still is, and has a lot of power to go forward into the future doing bad things. It's like Spike. They make him, he's evil, so he can make all those "I'm evil" jokes. But he is, he's neutered, Also, I'm really confused about what's going on in these final scenes. I'm watching it, and the scene where Pike and Ash Tyler beam over, I guess they're beaming from Discovery to the Enterprise, but Georgiou is staying on the Discovery, and as they're walking through the halls, there's 15 or 20 crewmen running around behind them.
Yeah.
But I thought the whole point is everyone's gone from the Discovery. So I'm really confused about just what's happening in this, the last bit of this episode. Pike leaves everyone on the bridge, and I thought the whole idea was he's leaving everyone that's staying to try to go to the future. And the rest of the crew is coming back. But for some reason, there's just like 15 crewmen running in the halls of Discovery for no reason.
Hey, man, there's always like 15 people still running around in Walmart when they close.
They don't close, Dave.
Some of them do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Some of them do.
A bunch of them do. By the way, the first filmed scene from The Cage and of Star Trek, the sequence with Dr. Boyce and Captain Pike sharing a martini, was filmed on Friday, the 27th of November, 1964.
Neat. Yeah, I did not realize it was shot that early. Because the first one didn't air till 69, right? Or was it 68?
66.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I was just wrong. I just had it wrong.
Yeah.
I thought it was 69. Yeah, never mind. So 64 makes a lot more sense. I was like, why did they wait 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Had to go on a mission or something?
They had to shoot a second pilot.
Indeed. Anyway, I think that this episode was fun. A lot of setup, a lot of emotional conversations.
Yeah.
I like I like the direction they're going if they're actually going there. I'll be kind of annoyed if they did this whole episode of emotional goodbyes and, you know, setting up this whole future thing and everyone deciding to stay. Like, this whole episode is about deciding to do that. Mm-hmm. And if they don't do that, I'll be kind of annoyed with this episode.
I'm wondering if they will park Discovery somewhere where it won't be found and claim that it's lost and just leave it there for 1,000 years. And, like, the real reason that we have that brand new Enterprise bridge is they're just going to redress it a little bit and claim it's the newly redubbed Discovery. So that we can keep calling the show Discovery.
Right. Yeah. There's just going to be a new ship called Discovery.
Yeah, like a Constitution class Discovery.
Oh, that would be cool.
I'd be all right with that, I guess.
Yeah, that would be fun. There was a guy in the background of this episode with a visor on.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's the one, like the guy running the transporter room. And I don't know if he's been on an episode previously, but he had a Geordi-like visor.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. Kind of fun. So that's about all I got to say. You got any quotes?
I kind of thought it was funny when Pike said we will never see another like her.
Yeah.
I'm like, no kidding.
Yeah, we know.
Although I thought it was a little bit on the nose when number one told him no more holographic communications ever.
Yeah, it was a little like, okay. Really driving that home. Especially after seeing that video we've discussed on the show before. We watched a YouTube video where they showed the history of holograms in Starfleet, or in Star Trek. And, it really was a lot more, in line with what we'd seen before than we were originally thinking. Than it seemed at the time. And, yeah, I just don't have a problem with it. I mean, I guess they had to explain why they weren't on the Enterprise, or they didn't do it all the time on the Enterprise. But, yeah, it wasn't nearly as big a deal once I realized that, they just, they did have that technology.
Yeah. So when Pike is saying his goodbyes to everyone, and he's talking to each person individually, I got choked up, like super choked up when he looks at Spock and says, Spock, there are no words. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's probably silly, but
no.
That one did get me.
Yeah, that one got me too. I liked keeping it brief, honestly. Like, I kind of wish there's, this line is everything, and it's one of the first ones where it's the one where Burnham has just decided to leave. She says, I wish there were more time. There isn't. I love you, all of you. Thanks for the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah.
I feel like that line should have been all they said for goodbyes, like the whole episode. That should have been it. And like, because she says I wish there were more time. There isn't. Here is my short, simple thing about I love you. And I wish they'd gone to work, like that should have been what happened from a logical perspective. But instead, she's like, there's no time. Let's take an hour-long episode and have lots more conversations about it. It doesn't make any sense. Because I liked that line so much. It's short, sweet, to the point. I love you. Thanks for the greatest moments of my life. Done. Then they'd spend the entirety of the episode disregarding that line. But I like that line. I like that line a lot.
I didn't like that line. But I get it.
I just like the short and simple nature of it.
Because, she says, I love you, all of you. And I was like, well, I haven't seen her develop a relationship with all of those people, but that's fine. And then she says, thank you for the greatest moments of my life. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
The greatest moments of your life?
I think she's had some of the most meaningful things of her life happen on the Discovery.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, greatest seems weird because most of it's been horrible. You
mean like some of the greatest most of the greatest moments of your life were on the Shinjo before you mucked it up and
yeah. Yeah, that I think that the point is she has figured out a lot about who she is. Like, she grew up, thought she had to be all logical. Mm-hmm. She sort of like learned to balance logic and emotion and like kind of be a full being. And then she did a thing and now she's had to like kind of climb back from that. But yeah, it does seem weird. It seems weird to be like, these were the best times. that time you remember those best times where we've been at war and we've been at war with Klingons. We've been trapped in a parallel universe. We've been, being chased by evil artificial intelligence. Man, the best of times.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Yeah.
Tale of two Burnhams. I mean, there are things you could say. Yeah, you're right. I take it out of my quotes. You're right. I liked it for its simplicity, but now that I break it down, you're right. I don't like it at all. There are lots of things you could say there that would make sense, like, you guys are the greatest crew I've ever worked with. Like, so you were passionate and strong and, things we've said on this show before, you are the ideal of the Federation and we will stand against this threat together or whatever. Like, there's a lot of things you could say there, but this is the greatest times of my life does seem like a weird one.
Yeah. Oh, there was something that was brought up on a Discovery After show, and I know that part of it, like, I want to get your take on it. Over the course of the episode, I noticed like it looks like they're tying into Calypso. They bring in Poe from the other
Short
Trek. Yeah, they bring up the knife and Saru's sister, which ties in a little bit to the Short Trek there. The only one they didn't tie into was the Harry Mudd episode.
Right.
And as I said on the Discovery After show episode, I am now a little concerned that there's going to be a very literal Deus Machina in the form of a Mudd android coming to save them in this next episode. Just so they could say they hit all the points with all of the different short tracks.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think they're going to leave that. I think there's too much to do to try to tie that in. And I think one thing that they've done well, is they've made everything that happened for the most part has made sense if you didn't see the short treks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to have seen Calypso to understand what they're doing. You don't even really need to have seen, the Stowaway or whatever that one's called.
Runaway, I think.
Runaway, yeah. To understand Poe, she shows up and you're like, oh, an old friend of Tilly's, fine. Like, Tilly's friends of the Queen, how weird, Mm-hmm. Queen likes ice cream. It was cute. And it could have been cute without that episode, but the Mudd thing showing up at this point would be real strange.
Mm-hmm. But if you really want to, he did have a time crystal.
See, now
season 1.
That would have been a time to tie it in. Like, go find Mudd, or like try to track down Mudd because he's the last person you saw with a time crystal. We wouldn't have got the coolness of Bereth, which I think Bereth was real cool.
Which, by the way, you remember a couple weeks ago when you said, do they have to call them time crystals?
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Oh, wait, what do you mean?
In real life, it is a real thing. That is why they brought it up, because Star Trek always brings up stuff that, is like in the real world, but a time crystal or space-time crystal is a structure that repeats in time as well as in space. Normal three-dimensional crystals have a repeating pattern in space but remain unchanged as time passes. This is from Wikipedia. Time crystal, let's see, blah, 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 blah. The idea of a time crystal was first described by such and such in 2012. I can't say those names. It's a Nobel laureate, though.
Cool.
Later work developed a more precise definition for time crystals. It was proven that they cannot exist in equilibrium. Then in 2014, another person predicted the behavior of discrete time crystals in a periodically driven many-body system. And in 2016, Norman Yao et al. Proposed a different way to create time crystals in spin systems. And then they were observed later than that. I mean, it's a real thing.
Okay.
So even if the version of it in Discovery is not a real thing.
Right. It's not what they're doing here.
Right. But it's literally called a time crystal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that there's a thing called a time crystal, I guess. Especially since it's not something that, actually affects time travel.
Not yet.
Not yet. I liked Poe in this episode in general. I enjoy Poe. I think she's fun. But I liked one of the best things about being queen of one of the most politically relevant planets in the quadrant is that I don't have to listen to any snark. I made it a law, actually.
Yeah. That was fun.
Let's see. I liked Stamets and Jet saying, I still dislike you. The feeling is mutual.
I love them.
Yeah, they're great.
I have said it now before, and I will say it again. I think they're the new Bashir and O'Brien.
Oh, I didn't remember you saying that, but I like it. Yeah.
No, I didn't say it on this show. I said it on the after show.
Okay. Well, yeah, that could be. I could see that. I do like the Bashir and O'Brien without the toxic masculinity, I guess, or do they both have toxic masculinity? Cause that's kind of the whole thing with Bashir and O'Brien is the whole, like, they can't admit they love each other.
Oh, no. I think O'Brien has toxic masculinity. I think
that's
Bashir
true.
is just constantly longing to be loved. I mean, he outright says it. He's like, he's like, I love Ezri, but I like you a bit more.
That's true. That is true.
You can admit it, Chief. I love my wife.
Need to go back and watch some of those episodes. So good.
And, initially O'Brien hated Julian. And then there's this great episode where they're drinking together and O'Brien says, Julian, people either love you or they hate you. I used to hate you. And then Julian looks at him and goes, and now? What?
Love that.
You said you used to hate me. I did. And now?
So good. So good. I miss those two. Yeah, I really do like Jet and Stamets together. They're a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's all my quotes. Any trivia today?
They did have a listing for Yeoman Colt in the credits. And I sincerely hope that this person shows up by name in the next episode. Yeoman Colt was Pike's new yeoman on the Cage.
Interesting.
Who, as the Telosian said, I believe, made up for her lack of intelligence with unusually strong female drives.
Okay.
Well, they were talking about, they were presenting Pike with two different females for him to mate with in the Cage. That one being number one, and the other one being Yeoman Colt. And Yeoman Colt's advantages was that she was young, and what she made up for in the lack of intelligence that she had. She didn't have the intelligence of number one, but she had unusually strong female drives.
Yeah.
And
unusually strong female drives.
And they also said that she had considered Captain Pike, or had thought of Captain Pike in that way, but had considered him unattainable, I think.
Yeah.
Was the way they put. So yeah, I think I want to see who they cast. I want to see this person in action. They didn't mention her in the.
I bet you do.
Not in that way, you pervert.
Come on, it's funny.
It is funny.
Oh man, cool. That's neat.
And obviously the title comes from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say goodnight till it be morrow. Mm-hmm. Those are my trivias.
Cool. All right. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back very soon with actually very, very soon. The last episode of the season's 2 days from now. So sorry to drop this one kind of late this week. We try to get it a little sooner, but I had a very crazy travel week and such.
Yep. And I had things going on as well. So, like, doing this show was somewhere else. That was unintentional.
You cheated on us.
I know, man. I'm
Cheated
sorry.
on our Star Trek podcast with another Star Trek podcast.
I like those guys, though, too. So,
Nice.
it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back real soon. Peace.
Live long and prosper.
To reach out to us, hit us up at StarTrekUcast.com, at StarTrekUcast on Twitter, Star Trek Universe Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for us there, or send us a message at StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv. And if you want to hear more from Matthew Carroll, that's me, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, or go listen to my music at MatthewCarrollmusic.com or anywhere you get music.